how to maximize day 1 and day 2 for Zepbound weight loss and TIRZEPATIDE weight loss. Hi friends, I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I'm out front getting my follow-up mammogram, and I wanted to make a video today talking about day 1 and day 2 for me after being on GLP-1 medication. I was on Mounjaro and then on Zepbound and TIRZEPATIDE compound, and now I'm back to being on Zepbound for the last 21 months, so almost 2 years, of what has worked really well for me, and in particular this week. I just got back from a very large vacation with my hot husband. And so really focusing and buckling down for my weight loss before Halloween comes. I've got, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks, and I really want to push my weight loss of being super clean eating, making sure I'm working out and doing the things that I can control, things I can control, things I cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference of what I can change and what I can't. And so today I want to give you some tips that will hopefully help you. Obviously, it's never medical advice. Always talk to your own healthcare provider. If you have healthcare provider questions, talk to your healthcare provider. This is simply what's worked for me and my own experience, strength and hope. Take what you want and leave the rest. Let's dive in. Tip number 1 for me is this week, so it's a weird week because I went on vacation with my husband. And so typically when I go on vacation, I don't like to weigh myself when I get back because I know I've gained some weight. I know that I have gained weight, and that mentally messes with me when it's like 3 or 4 pounds, but it's really not 3 or 4 pounds. It's more like water weight. Like I'll have had popcorn, for example, and that with the sodium, not like healthy sodium, but like the refined, like where they strip out all the stuff from it. Hold on, there's a fire truck. That will massively make the scale look not true, which is why I always recommend my smart tape measure. That's linked down below on my Amazon shopping list. I have several of them. If you're just starting Zepbound, check out that list. And then also just in general, things that I love that I've bought and tested that I like to recommend. So this week when I got back, tip number 1 was allowing myself things that I wanted. For example, yesterday, my husband wanted to go to Five Guys, my hot husband, and he doesn't eat Five Guys very much. And, he's like, do you want to go with me and have dinner? Our kid was at a birthday party, and so it was kind of like a date for us. And so we went, and I was like, I'm going to eat something at Five Guys. I'm not going to not eat something. I'm not going to deprive myself of something, but I'm going to focus in on making healthy choices. And for me, that was fabulous. I woke up this morning, I had lost another pound, and I'm really, really excited about that. And I'm on day 1 and day 2. And so I have a lot of appetite suppression. And so riding that wave is what I call it, but it's making really healthful choices within that. And is Five Guys the most healthful choice? No. But why is this person parking next to me? There's an empty parking lot, and it says monster truck literally parking right next to me. What are you doing? Totally empty parking lot. So riding the wave on day 1 and day 2, I went to Five Guys with my hot husband, and I ended up ordering the little cheeseburger, which is around 650 calories. I added onto it ketchup and mayonnaise. I got the little cheeseburger because I wanted some protein. I wanted the hamburger because of the protein part of it. And I should have looked up how much protein exactly it was, but I wanted to have some protein, and that was going to be my dinner and what I ate for the rest of the day. I got one of their big fountain sodas, and I know some people are going to be like, Diet Coke and diet sodas, but y'all, I had a diet root beer and it was amazing. And then I filled it up and had a diet orange soda. It was amazing. Now, that was a huge treat for me. Am I eating that every day? No. Was it absolutely freaking amazing? Yes. Is that going to sustain me as I go through? Absolutely. I did not feel deprived. And for me, that's one of the things with GLP-1 medication and with my Zepbound weight loss and TIRZEPATIDE weight loss is breaking unhealthy food relationships that I had of like bad foods and good foods. I think that there's better choices for things. But also to me, this was a good choice because I didn't feel deprived. If I went to Five Guys and had, for example, a lettuce sandwich and a cup of water, I would have felt very deprived and I would have been resentful, and that's not sustainable and long-term for me. So for me, as for my house, it's making choices that are going to be sustainable, that are going to be long-term, that also are healthful within the healthful within that genre. And so it was a great choice. So it was 650 calories for the little cheeseburger, adding on ketchup and mayonnaise. What is that, 700? Like I estimated 900 calories total for all of that. I had a few French fries, just a couple. I didn't want more than that. So it was like 950 calories total probably in there. But I had walked 6 miles. I was also very hungry. Before that, a big bowl of Greek yogurt with chia seeds and bounty of fruit. And that itself was 400 calories. So I had 900 calories plus 400 calories. That was 1,300 calories. For me, tracking calories used to be a major trigger. I've had to work with a therapist to untriggerize that, to like unwind and untangle the unhealthy false beliefs with that. Because now I can count calories and it really does not affect me. And I also don't feel deprived or lacking. When I feel like there's a lacking, that for me can be a big trigger on my weight loss journey. So for day 1 and day 2, the point of all of that example for you is what can you do on day 1 and day 2 to propel yourself, to ride that wave, to go up to the top. And then for me, it comes down that by day 5, Zepbound or Mounjaro, TIRZEPATIDE, is a half-life dose, meaning Eli Lilly, the manufacturer, tells us we're going to feel differently on day 5, 6, and 7. And so knowing that, for me, and this is where I want you to get super clear and track your information, you can use my free side effects tracker and my free tracker, because it really does make a difference for your own data. I've talked about rotating shot injection sites, and some of you are like, that makes no difference for me. Some of you in our free group, there's been a wave of people being like, I doubted you, but I tried it and it really did work. And I'm like, yes, for some people it's going to work, for some people it's not, because everybody's body is different. But riding that wave and what I had yesterday resulted in a 1 pound weight loss. And so was it really 1 pound? No, but I felt so full. I had walked. And so the 1,300 calories minus 600 calories is 700 calories for the day. Is that normal? Is that sustainable? Do I want to do that every day? No. But here's what. For me, I'm shooting for 1,500 calories in a given day. And that was day 1 and day 2. I'm going to be eating more later on this week, right? But for me, I was so full and content. I had focused in on high protein. I'd gotten good fiber because of the copious amounts of fruit that I had had. I felt like it was a healthful meal for me for the one day. Is that every day? No. Eating 700 calories in a day is not healthy at all. But for the one day, riding that wave for me has been one of the secrets to my success. I'm saying you should talk to your own healthcare provider on that. For me, that's worked really well, because later on down the pike, I am going to eat more than 1,500 calories. Facts. By day 6 or 7, I will be over my 1,500 calorie range. And walking so much was part of that too. I mean, walking 6 miles. It was amazing. But I felt, for me, if I ate more than that, that wouldn't be true to myself either. I'd be like force feeding. And I don't think that that's smart or healthful either, by force feeding myself. And so that's day 2. Today's day 3. And I'm going to be super mindful today to get in lots of nutrient dense food, meaning like fruits and vegetables. I felt like yesterday I didn't really get that much in. So that's my focus today. Fruits and veggies and protein. Staying within my calorie range. I will not be hitting a 700 calorie. I will be hitting the 1,500 calorie. I do want to get a workout in today. I'll probably be walking, not lifting today. Hopefully I need to lift though. And I think I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I have found for me on day 1 and day 2 for lifting, this is tip number 2. I'm mindful, I gotta go in for my mammogram. Okay, I've got time. I'm mindful of lifting on day 1 and day 2. Because I'm not eating as many calories, I'm more tired. And also just Zepbound fatigue in general. It's a real thing. Mounjaro fatigue, Zepbound fatigue, TIRZEPATIDE fatigue. And so I have found for me that I can't lift on those days. I'm just tired, and I don't want to force feed. And maybe this is something I'm going to reach out to a professional to ask and to learn of, should I force feed then so I can go lift? That's where I get confused. And I'm learning so much. I've learned so much about lifting and getting back into working out. It's been like nothing short of a miracle for me. And so that's one of the things for me that I'm really not struggling with, but working on, of like day 1 and day 2, I just don't. And I allow myself to rest, and I allow myself to take naps. And last night I went to bed at 8 o'clock. Part of it, I think, is because of the mammogram today. I'm like nervous about my follow-up mammogram, and I had something popped up on it. And anyways, more on that later. But I was tired also. And I think part of it was I was super anxious for today. And I allowed my body just to rest. Not just, because that's a diminishing word. I allowed my body to rest, and I was okay. I'm okay with that. But now on the other days, day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I need to be super focused on every day maximizing those workouts, right? Because my goal is for me is to work out 5 days a week, if not more. Really, I want to be doing some sort of lifting or strength training every day. That's really my focus, to help with muscle mass loss, which thus corresponds to bone density issues and brittle bones. And your girl doesn't want no brittle bones here. Okay, we want strong bones. We want strong bones and we want strong muscles. And my booty's gone. It's flapjack booty. It's like a pancake. It's flapjack pancake season. And one of our great group members, my free encouragement group, posted her booty before and after from lifting, and it was so motivating for me. I was like, I want my booty to be popping again. So lifting is also motivational just because of the muscle that it makes. And then I'm like, maybe I'll get my booty back by lifting better. I have talked about also with lifting for day 1 and day 2, that I'm not necessarily able to, but I've had creaky knees. And so doing things like Pilates has been very helpful for me with my creaky knees. Like I can use a Pilates reformer in a Pilates class, like one of those machines where you see like women spreading their legs around and like, oh, it's so much fun. That has been so helpful for me for lifting. And so I did buy the PVOLVE Jennifer Aniston lifting program. There's modifications within that. The workout instructors for that program too, by the way, and I'll link it down below, the link for it. They're not like twigs. They're thicker women in there, which I really appreciate. The different body sizes, very inclusive in that, which I appreciate. And so anyways, I'm excited because there's modifications for like, allegedly, I haven't gone in, but allegedly like modifications for like creaky knees and things like that to help with lifting. So with that, on day 1 and day 2, for point number 2 was, I'm not going to make myself lift on those days where I'm dead, dog, tired, also because of my shot. We know that there's Zepbound fatigue and it's real. And so leaning into that of like, is it mental or is it really, really physical with it? And if it's truly physical, I'm going to give myself some grace. But then I'm on the back end, I'm not going to excuse myself out of it. I'm going to push it on day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? I'm really going to focus in on that. And that's what my intention is this week. But for day 1, day 2, I'm in a massive calorie deficit. But that is not how I want to be totally clear. So no one can say in the comments, I want to be totally clear. That is part of riding the wave. For me, that's worked really well. I've had nutritionists say you should force feed on those days, or dietitians, excuse me. You should force feed on those days. For me, that just doesn't feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, I want to, like, when I'm truly in tune with I want to do what's comfortable, and that's not comfortable for me. And I know on the back end, I will eat one of those days of this week. I know I will eat more than 1,500 calories, which is my calorie range. And so take what you want and leave the rest on that. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, don't do it. Talk to your own healthcare provider too. We also all have different medical conditions and things like that may not make sense. Also, as I continue, tip number 3, as I continue to evolve on this journey, there is the science, and I've talked about this on other videos. Either it's coming out or it just came out. So make sure you click like and subscribe so you can see those other videos about this. There's 2 different studies, actually 3. One was the SURMOUNT-1, one was the SELECT trials, and then there was another one in the video that I talked about around the 60-week mark for semaglutide patients, which is WEGOVY, Ozempic, semaglutide compound, which I correspond over. I'll glean that information about less appetite suppression at 60 weeks-ish. For people, less appetite suppression, cravings come back, food noise comes back. To what capacity, it depends. And so for me, that's where I'm in. And so having a 700 calorie day for me is a huge victory. Again, that is not healthy. That is not sustainable for every day. But when I do have the food noise, less appetite suppression and things like that, now being 21 months in, so how many weeks is that? That's over 80 weeks. I got to take that victory. And if you're in that position, this is different than day 1 and day 2 when I was just starting. Day 1 and day 2, I would force feed myself somewhat because I wasn't eating. Like every day was a 700 calorie day, and that's not healthy. That's when hair loss happens, right? If you're worried about hair loss, check out my Amazon shopping store. I've got some great tips on there, and on countessofshopping.com, my blog, I have a hair loss article talking about that too. It's really, really important. Anyways, I've had some things that have worked well for me with that, because it's not, that does lead, when you have that massive amount of weight loss because you're not eating enough, then that is when things like hair loss happens and some other byproducts. Hair loss takes 3 months from the trauma, air quote, which is weight loss, 3 months to show up, and then it will take 3 months to fix, essentially. Like, so it's a process with hair loss. Number 3, that going back to those studies that I had referenced. So SURMOUNT-1 was a 3-year trial. 3 years. And it was basically saying, and the select trial one, Surmount one, and then it was select trial. This, I'm pulling from my video sources on that, was 4 years and then 3 years for the Surmount one, which means that even though these food noise comes back, less appetite suppression, more food chatter, that people still kept the weight off. So it's keeping the weight off now, but it's at this point of where it's not the medication's not working. It's just that you got to pull in some other resources, and even pulling in some other resources may not make a difference. When I read that, I was like, oh my. So this is, if you're where I'm at right now and you need encouragement for that, just knowing that data for me was very helpful to set up my expectations. Like, oh, okay, so I'm not a whack job. I mean, maybe I am, but it was helpful to know that other people have encountered this too. And that day 1 and day 2, and that's point number 3, is that people who are just starting this medication, so under 60 weeks, which is basically under a year and what is that? A year and 2 months, so 14 months, are having more appetite suppression, and they're having less food chatter and less food cravings. But around that 60-ish week marks, and that's approximate, and that was from Dr. Ali, that was in that video that I had quoted, and I'll link that down below, or it's in the playlist. It's in the playlist. You can see, and I have referenced all those links on that. That after that 60-week mark, that there is a shift in that. So therefore, there is a shifting in the strategy in which I'm doing with my Zepbound weight loss and tirzepatide weight loss. Just knowing that there's a shift in strategy for me was so helpful. I don't know if that's helpful for you or not, but for me, that was dramatically helpful to know that around that year mark, 14-week mark, or 14-month mark, 60 weeks, so helpful, so helpful. So, that things are going to have to change. And so therefore my day 1 and day 2 strategy is going to have to change, which is why I go back to the 700 calorie thing. Some people are going to hear that and like freak out and think that's so unhealthy. And for me, it's not, because on other days I'm over my calories because I have so much less appetite suppression. It's not the same. And so many of you have said, well, stop taking GLP-1 medication so you can go back to that. I cannot. If I stop GLP-1 medication full force, my husband and I have talked about it extensively, I know I would gain all the weight back. I would not lose. That would be detrimental for me. And so it's better for me to stay on the medication and continue to work with my diet and exercise. So I hope that that helps with the 3 tips on there. The strategy change, and I've talked about riding the wave before on day 1 and day 2, but really being smart about that, of what that looks like, protein focused, because protein focus, and that's tip number 4, protein focus for me makes such a big difference. Oh shoot, I didn't bring it with me. My clear protein drinks, I am in love with them. I will link them down below. Use the discount code QUEEN. It's with Clean Simple Eats. I bought their stuff. I love it. The best one is Blue Raz. It's called Blue Raz. It tastes amazing. It tastes like a snow cone, but it's 20 grams of protein. My protein shakes. Doing Profi drinks. I love Buy Optimizer's chocolate protein shake. Use the discount code QUEEN linked down below. Being very protein forward and protein focused has been tremendously helpful. And that's tip number 4 for appetite suppression. Distinct difference for me with appetite suppression by focusing on protein. For me, 125 grams per day when I'm eating. That's not on day 1 and day 2. For me, I'm not eating the full amount of the 1,500 calories. So therefore, it's almost impossible for me to hit that, right? If I'm having 700 calories, unless I'm eating chicken, I guess, all day. But even if I was eating chicken all day, or like seafood, you know what I mean? But it's gotten, and this has really helped me in tip number 5, to really learn new food skill sets. Like, how many calories is in lean chicken? What does lean protein look like for me? And that's what I want to encourage you of. What does lean protein look like for you? If you are doing a protein forward and protein focused diet, what does that look like for you that you enjoy? If I enjoy it, it will be sustainable. If I like it, it's going to be long term. If this is drudgery, how do I make it not drudgery? Because for me, if it's drudgery, I'm not going to do it. So I need to go walk into my mammogram. If you want to check out those additional shopping things that I've recommended, great. If not, great. No pressure, as always. There's an ambulance coming. Oh no, I hope everyone's okay. Your accountability question, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Tell me in the comments below. If you haven't clicked like and subscribe, make sure you do. And our emoji of the day is a ball cap. So put a ball cap down below in the comments. That helps me twofold. One, it helps me to get to know you better because I truly do care. And two, with the pattern recognition, it will help me get to know you. And two, I'll pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thoughts. So if you could keep me in your prayers as I go into my mammogram, my follow-up one, I would appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm so grateful for you guys, and I love you guys so super much. I'm cheering you on your journey. As always, talk to your healthcare provider. This is not medical advice. Hopefully some suggestions that will get you thinking to have that dialogue with a trained professional. Love you guys. Bye.